Hello everyone and welcome to my 3-hour long Puppeteer tutorial video, and this is what we will be doing in this video. So first of all, I want to say that this video is a compilation of my multiple videos I have done with Puppeteer, and so I compile them all together. They are, as you see, 14 different videos. We will see how we can set up our Puppeteer script, how we can do various tasks like scrapping some products, saving them locally. Also, how we can control multiple pages at the same time using puppeteer-cluster. Also, how you can bypass various securities from different sites like captcha and basic bot detection. How you can intercept requests, you see right here, and then finally how you can deploy your script in Heroku, Vercel, AWS Lambda. And for the bonus one, it will show you tips and tricks that every beginner should know. Now this is a 3 hours long video, so I want to give you some motivation. You can make around $100,000 per year. That depends again on your location and also your years of experience. So there is your motivation. So I hope you find my video more interesting. By seeing this whole 3-hour video, you will be able to complete professional projects. Everything I have done in this video, with all of this knowledge, you will be able to do pretty much any project with Puppeteer. And even if there is stuff that you don't know about Puppeteer, like how to do X, if you know the basics, you can use documentation and all that kind of stuff to figure out everything else. Now, during my videos, I'll be using resources and links. I'll either have sections for each video and the links that you might want to use. Also, I'll have timestamps in the video. So if you want to skip any part that you already know, maybe how you can set up a script, you already know that, cool, just click the second timestamp or third timestamp, etc. And yeah, also if I am going too slow for you, you can speed up the video. I think that's all I have to say, so yeah, enjoy the video. Hello everyone, my name is Mike. Welcome to a brand new series on Puppeteer in Nodejs. If you don't know what Puppeteer is, this is a Nodejs library that allows us to interact with HTML elements in Chrome or Chromium from any website. So besides just getting information from a web page, for example a movie title, we can also interact with it, like clicking a button, submitting a form, grabbing data from a specific element, taking a screenshot, and many more. Pretty much anything that you can do with a web browser, you can automate it with this library. By the end of this series, you will know how to run Puppeteer and open a web page, how to get specific HTML elements and attributes, how to navigate between multiple pages, how to download images, and many more. So if you are interested, let's get going with the setup. First of all, you need to use an IDE to write the code. I prefer to use Visual Studio Code, link in the description, but you can use any IDE you like. Next, you need to install Nodejs. You can select your OS and follow the installation steps. To make sure you install Nodejs, open the command line by searching cmd in your search bar and type npm. If everything is installed correctly, you should see something like this. Then create a new folder named however you like. I named it Puppeteer Tutorial. Open cmd in the search bar by typing cmd. Then we need to create a package.json file which acts like a config file for storing information like packages, scripts, version, name, etc. That's important to run Node.js. To do that, type npm init, and you can either click space to leave the fields empty, or you can fill them up and click enter. When you have created the package.json, which you can see right here, or if I open Visual Studio Code, package.json. Once you have created the package.json file, then we could go ahead and create a JavaScript file named index.js, and there we're going to write the code. Before we start writing the code, we need first to install the Puppeteer library. So I'll open terminal, new terminal, and run npm I puppeteer, which is the name of the library. That's save. npm is Node.js, and I means install. It's short for install. So I'll click enter. I open package.json. After the installation is completed, you will see it's adding the library right here. It takes some time, so don't worry. Also, as you see, if you have used Selenium before, you can see it's downloading Chromium. It's a different kind of Chrome browser. It's called Chromium. Further on the series, I'll show you how you can use Chrome instead of Chromium. So, as you saw, in dependencies, downloaded Puppeteer. For me, it's version 10.4, but you can use any version. Now, let's go to the Puppeteer documentation and copy the example. Link in the description. Everything will be in the description, so just go in the description. Now, down here, you can see an example. I'll just copy it, paste it on index.js. To run the code, all we need to do is run node index.js. You can click tab to select the file by clicking the first letters. Click enter to run the code. And what this code does, first of all, we are importing Puppeteer, so we say Puppeteer equals to the library Puppeteer, which we require it from the one we downloaded. Then we are creating a browser, so we say Puppeteer, and we use a function of Puppeteer called launch. And then we say const page, so we create a page. So from the browser we created, we open a new page, and we say when this browser is created, when this page is opened, then go to a specific URL. Here you can add your targeted URL. So for now we will be using example.com, but you can use whichever URL you like. And here what we do is we take a screenshot of that page, and once everything is done, we close the browser and the code stops. Now something bugged, so I need to rerun the code, and boom, it took the screenshot called example.png. Now, if you need to see what's going on during this function, what you can do is pass an option to launch function. So I'll open an object right here. I'll open brackets, and inside here I'll put an option called headless, and we will say false. So by default, Puppeteer is running headless, and what that means is it doesn't show you the browser. So it's all in terminal, right? You didn't see a browser open up and the app taking a screenshot. But now if I say false, now it will do the opposite. So if I run the code, you will see the browser opens. It does it real quickly, but it still opens for a split of a second, and it took the screenshot, and it closed. We are going to remove the screenshot function, as we will not going to be using it for what we are going to do. And also comment for the time being browser.close, as we don't want the browser to close when everything else is finished. For this project, we are going to use Amazon.com as an example. and we will be scrapping all the products from a category. So I guess let's select a random category, let's say Amazon Basics, and we will be saving the information from the products in a CSV and also store the images locally. As you see, we go down here, it has pagination. So for every page, I guess it displays around 30 products, I'm not sure. And for each page, it will have 30 products, I guess. Like, that's a random number, I'm not sure how many it displays. Now, it has a pagination as well, so we need the script to navigate through the pages. So it will click next, 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 until the next is disabled. So that's it for today's video. In the next video, I'll show you how we can get each product, and for each product, grab the title, the image, and the price. So you see we have a list of products, and for each product, we will get those information. As you'll see, if I inspect element, I can get the source, so the URL of the image. I can get the title, and I can also get the price. Anyways, if you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell notification, and I'll see you in another one. Bye bye. Hello everyone, my name is Mike, and welcome to the second tutorial in the Puppeteer tutorial series. In this video, what we will be doing is talking about how to access elements on the page. Like I said in the previous video, we will be using Amazon products as an example, and we are going to get each product information like title, image URL, and the price. So here's a quick explanation from the previous video. I'll show you how we can get each product, and for each product, grab the title, the image, and the price. So you see we have a list of products, and for each product, we will get those information. As you'll see, if I inspect element, I can get the source, so the URL of the image. I can get the title, and I can also get the price. So first of all, let's start by loading the targeted page. So I'll copy the link of Amazon, paste it here. So now Puppeteer will open that page. It will open a new page and go to that page. So let's test it out. So you can open command line or open terminal like I did here. So click terminal, new terminal, that's on VS Code. And we will going to run node index.js. So as you will quickly see, we have an issue here. It doesn't fully load the page. So what we can do for that is give it an option called default viewport, and I'll set it to false. So we want the default viewport to be on false because we don't need the default viewport, of course. We need it to adjust to our screen. So we're going to do that. Another thing that we're going to do is use a data directory. So user data dir, and that's for Amazon to remember our actions. I was testing that before and I saw Amazon has captcha. So after a few tries, it gives you a captcha. Now we're going to use a default directory, and now I have already solved that captcha manually once, and now it remembers me, so I don't have to solve it again. So yeah, use that, and if the captcha shows up, solve it, close it, reopen it, and it should work correctly. Now we want to locate the selector of the list and then map each element. So let's go here. Actually, let's rerun it. You can use CLS, clear the terminal, and also to stop the app from running, just do Control C. So So now let me rerun the app, and as you'll see, it's running on full screen right now. So now we want to locate the selector of the list, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'll just select a project, scroll up, and right here we need to locate the box that surrounds all of the products and copy paste the class right here. Before we do that, I want to show you something that I found on Stack Overflow that will help you to map the products. So what we'll do here is copy this code, and let me explain you what happened here. So we will give the parent class name right here, and by parent I mean the box surrounding the products, and the products is called children. So what we are doing here is we give the class name of the parent and we mapping each children. So let's copy paste the class name. Actually it's multiple, so we will do all of them. Make sure you put a dot in front of it so it knows it's a class. If it's an ID, you will put hashtag. So yeah, make sure you do that. Now we want to make a change right here. So first of all, let's change the names. So instead of tweets, we will do product, and then here product, and here it should be the same. Here we will put what we want, and for now let's do the title and put this right here. This is the selector of each product, and we will console.log the title. Now let's remove those right here, and here we go. Now we want to do a change. We have to find the selector of the title, so let's go back. You can click right here which says select an element in the page to inspect it, and we will just hover over the title, and as you see it's inside a span. So I'll do copy and copy selector, but this one is really huge and it's not dynamic. As you see, it has numbers. So for example, it says choose the first product right here, but we need to do it dynamically, so I'll just copy the last 3 elements right here, which are dynamic because they don't have like a number right here specifying them. So I'll do that, copy it, go back, and we are going to run a query selector because we want to locate those, and we want to get the text content, so the text inside the span. Now let's do Control C, SLS, and rerun it. And if we go back, okay, we only get one of the products. So what we should do is point down and then give it the class name of each product. Let's find the class name right here as result item. Rerun it. And here are the titles. Of course, it gives us an error at the end. So it gives us an error because they are not all products. So all of the as result item, they are not all of them products. So what we will do is try catch. We don't care if they are not all products, we just want to get only the titles of the products. So in case we get an error, we will just do nothing about that, but we don't want the app to stop. So let's rerun it. And here we go. There is each title for each product. Now let's do that. Let's do the same for the price. So not all products have a price, but don't worry about that. Let's go here, inspect it. And we want to get the class name, which surrounds the 59.99. We don't want to get the discount. So what we can do is get the class name. So let's copy this one first. Do price. Go back. Copy the class name. And we will do span because we want to get that class name and get the span inside it, the first one. Or we can just give it the class. That's better. Now let's console log the price instead. And here they are. Lastly, we want to get the image URL. So let me inspect it. But as you'll probably see, actually no, we can do that, yeah. So we want to locate the class name with image. So let me again create another variable for the image. Go back, copy the class name. And this time it's a bit different. So now we don't want to get the text content because it doesn't have any text, but instead we want to get the attribute, which the attribute is the source. Okay, please don't do that. Okay, so it's the source. So to do that, what we can do is .get attribute and give it the source. I believe that's it. Let's test it. CLS and rerun it. And there it is. So what we can do to get all the products, so even if there is not a price, get it, still get it. What we can do is let title equal to something. So let's equal to null. Let price the same thing. And let image same thing. Now we can have a try catch for each of them. So if one fails, it doesn't matter for the other one, it will still update. Now let's remove the const. There you go. Let's remove that for now. And at the end, let's do console.log title price image. Run it again. And there you go. So we say original. And if we go right here, there is null on the price and we get the image successfully. That's great. Now, what we can do is update the items. So we say let items to an array. And for each product, we're going to push an object of the information into that array. So items.push title price image. Remove that. And we will do at the end console.log items. For now, let's do length, so we make sure we get all the products, and the products are 24, so we should see 24. So let me stop the application and do node index. Okay, we get 27. Now I'm going to explain why. So we have a try catch in the title as well, and that's wrong. So, well, actually that's right. We just have to do one more thing, is to say if title doesn't equal to null, because each product has a title for sure. It might not have a price or an image, but it has a title for sure. So if there is a title, then push it. So let's try that. And there you go, there are 24. Now if I console log the items, there they are. So product number 1 shouldn't have a price, it doesn't. Then the second one has a $59.99. So let's go here, $59.99. This is the title and this is the image. So let's visit the image, and there it is. So let me show you what we will be doing in the next video. So in Amazon, as you'll see, it has multiple pages. So what we are going to do is save the product for the page 1, let's say, and then click next, save the products for the page number 2. We are not going to save them, but we are going to append them to the products we already have from the page 1, and so on for the page 2, page 3, until we reach the maximum pages. So we will be clicking next until we are on the last page. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss my next episode on this Puppeteer series. Hello everyone, my name is Mike and welcome to the third tutorial in the Puppeteer Tutorials series. In this video, what we will be doing is talking about how to use the Amazon navigation to grab all the products from each page and then store them locally to a CSV file. So a CSV file is a file that you can open in Excel. So let's see how the navigation works exactly. So right here we are on the Amazon, in an Amazon category page, and we see multiple products. But if I scroll down here, you can see we have a navigation which has multiple pages, and we can see it maxes out to around 400 products. But obviously that's not the same for every category. Other categories can have only 30 pages, other can have 20 pages, so we need to think dynamically. So for this one, we know it maxes out at 400, so let me show you something. Right here on the link, I can go directly to the page 400. And as you'll see, what we can save the script to do is, let's say we are on 399, to click next, okay? So if I inspect element, okay, we're down here. As you'll see, we have a button with a class that says a last. So we can tell the script, okay, click a last until you cannot anymore. But how can we figure out if we can or if we cannot? So if I click one more time next and we go to the last page, as you'll see right here, we don't have that gray box around it, and we also have another class that is a disabled. So it doesn't only have the a last, but it has the a disabled as well. Now what we can do is grab this element by the class name a last and check if it has a disabled class as well. So let's go on code and let me show you how it works. So what I did right now is created a new file called class.js, and I want to make a separate file temporarily so we can test a few things out. First of all, I want to go ahead and go to the Amazon page, copy the URL that has the last page, so next is disabled, and paste it here. I want to try a few things out and see which one works for me. So, okay, I found this code right here. So let's try it. And also make a few changes so we can make it work for us in our case. Okay, so first of all, we will add an option called await until network idle 2. Actually, what we can do is load. Okay, so we want to wait until the page is loaded and then run this, because if we run it too soon, it will get nothing, okay? Because the page hasn't loaded yet. Okay, so let's make few changes. So first of all, we don't have a button, but we can give it a class. So let me inspect. Okay, so I'll copy this. So first of all, let's try by this one, okay? So this one should say disabled, but that doesn't mean it's disabled. It only means that this class exists, okay? So it was able to find it. So let's do console or log is disabled. But that only says that this button exists. So let's try that out first. Okay, first of all, let me do headless false, because we want to be able to see what's going on. All right, so it says true, okay? So it exists. Now let's try to add this one. So now it will tell us if that button is disabled, because that's what class it takes. So let's try it. And it should say true as well. It says false. Okay, so we did something wrong. I believe we have to put them side by side. But let's try one more thing. So we can do copy selector. And I'm gonna copy those last elements, because everything in front of it is not dynamic, okay? So it's best to do it that way. Okay, so let's try this one. Boom, we got true, so that's great. Now let's take this, actually just this, and add it to our previous script. So let's go here. And now what we want to do is tell the script to click next, grab the products, append them to an array, and click next, next, and next until it reaches is disabled true. So let's do something here. So for every product we want to do that. So let's say while true, but the true has to be something we can change, so we can say if it is disabled or not. So let's do let is button disabled, and let's do false. So if it's not disabled, then do the below. So let's put, actually just go to the bottom. So right here, formatted, great. Now we say if it's disabled, just go, if it's not disabled, just go ahead and get the products. Now we want to add another thing, and that's to go to the next page. So we will tell it to click to this button right here. So let's do await page.click to click the button and give it a class name. And let's copy this one, but just with the disabled not there. We want just that. And we have to do another thing, and that's to check if it is disabled. So I'll copy this. And let's do this. So first of all, let's update the value. And now what we have to do is if is disabled. Actually, we have to do if it's not disabled. So let's do that and put it inside. So actually that's basically it, but let's test it out. First of all, let's find a category with less pages because we don't want to sit here for a while. Okay, that was fast. So let's copy this one. And from this one, we start from the page number 1, and it has all the way to the page number 3. So let's take that. And now we have to run index instead. And let's see how it goes. So I got number 2. And it stopped. So we got an error. No node found for selector li a last. And what we can do, okay, so before it clicks it, well, what we can do is wait page dot wait for selector. And what this does is it awaits until the selector is shown on the HTML code of the page. So we say wait until the button is there, then go below. Of course, that has a timeout, so it waits for about 30 seconds by default. If it's not there for 30 seconds, it will show an error. But it should be visible within the 30 seconds, so we are okay. But let's add one more thing, and that's to say visible to true. And what that does is it waits for the selector until it's visible to the page. So it might be visible to the code, but it might have a class that it doesn't show the button right here. But this one, it will, so let's try it. So let's run it. Okay, it worked. Give me a second. We have a product handle for every product. We might have to put it outside. Yep, that's right. We have to put it outside. What we had done there is for every product it got, we were doing that. So it only got one product per page. That's wrong. So let's put down functionality outside of the for loop. So let's just drag it outside, format the document, because you'll see right here. Actually it got, well, it didn't got all of them, it got some of them. Okay, so format document, and also let's console log the length of the items to make sure we get like how many products per page. Let's check. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 24 times 2, and then plus 1 for the last page. So this will be 49. So let's check it. Let's run it again. Let's go back. It got 72. Why did it do that? Okay, so when we do page.click, we have to await for navigation. So page.await for navigation. So we have to wait for the page to change before we do the for loop again. Actually, no. Okay, so that's, I found out why. So we have to put this one right here. So that's one more thing we have to do. But we have to wait for navigation as well, because we want the updated products. So let's try that now. So if I run it again, what we can do is get up here and do that. So wait do it here. Okay, let's try this one. Yep, okay. Let's go. So let's try it. 49. There we go. So we got it. So now what we say is, okay, click it, wait for navigation, but that's not enough. So we added another thing, and that's wait for selector. So wait until the product number 1 shows up. It might not have a product number 2, but always in the last page, it will have at least one product, and that's product number 0. So it starts from 0, as you'll see here, and that never changes. It doesn't go like 1, 5, 7. It starts from 0. So we always have a 0. So that's it for navigation. We just completed navigation. Let me delete that because it's unnecessary. And now let's go ahead and save them to a CSV. So let's save the product info to a CSV. So let's create a CSV. Let's name it results.csv. And let's do title, price, and then image. Actually, we can do anything right here. It doesn't mean because we have this name, use it here to put it the same here. You can put whatever you want here, it doesn't matter. So here's an example I found. First of all, let's put that at the top. It's everything else. And now what we are saying here is append to file. And now we're going to put our file, results.csv. So we are appending a new line to the CSV. And let's do those. Those string allows us to put JavaScript on it, so we can put dynamic values here. If we put normal strings, that doesn't work. Okay. Probably on every keyboard that will be Control 1. But it might be different on your keyboard, not sure, but most of the times you can press Control 1, the number 1, and this string should be shown up. So now let's put our values here. So let me do something. So we will delete that. Delete it from here as well. And here on the items.push, instead of doing that, we will append to a file. So let's put the title, then we will put a comma, put the price, and same for the image. And that's it. So delete that. And do we have to delete that? Nope. So it's okay. So type error. So let's format it. We don't need the console alert here. Okay, so one thing we have to do is leave space right here, otherwise it will start from the line number 1. So make sure you leave a space here. And one more thing we have to do is every time it appends, we need to tell it to create a new line. So append and then do that, okay? So to do that, we have to do that and /n, and that creates a new line for us. So let's open terminal, run it. And if we go back, there they are. So we have the title here, we have the price, and we have the image URL. Now, I have installed the plugin on VS Code, which I'm able to preview the data. So let me show you which extension that is. That's data preview. So now let me open the CSV file again, click on it. Okay. So we have an error, as you'll see here. It doesn't register the new lines. Let me try something. So let me delete all the products right here. And now it says correctly. So I probably know why we have a problem here. So we might have a tile right here that has a comma. And we tell the data preview to separate the values. So title, this one, and the price, it will separate it. It will know which one is the price by the comma. But when you have a title here that has a comma, and again a title, and then again title, and then again a price, it expects to only have 3 values from the first one right here. We get an example, and we tell it, okay, all of them have only 3 values, sorry. So to fix that, we just have to replace the commas with something else. So let's go here, say replace to, okay, doesn't let me do that. There you go. Okay, so we have to put our regex. So do the same as me. Now we have to replace all commas. That's what the G means. G means replace all and whatever we have on the slashes, so the comma, and replace it with, let's do dot. Let's do a dot, okay? So let me delete everything, put a new line, and run again. Okay, let's go back. Let's try to preview the data, and there we go. So let's see. Now, a last thing we have to do is to make sure we close the browser. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped out. I'll come with few more ideas to add to this script, like how to make it faster using multi-threading. I might do that. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see that. And also let me know down in the comments if you want to see anything else. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my future episode of this tutorial or of my future videos. And see you in the next video. Hello everyone, my name is Mike and welcome to the 4th tutorial in the Puppeteer tutorial series. In this video, what we will be doing is talking about how to scrape Amazon categories concurrently, so at the same time we will be scraping multiple pages using a library called puppeteer-cluster. So let's see what the library is about. Before we continue any further, if you haven't watched the episode 1, 2, and 3, you can click up here so you can get first an idea of what Puppeteer is and how you can do many different stuff, because we will continue from there to Puppeteer-cluster. So yeah, back to the video. So what is Puppeteer-cluster, you ask? Well, Puppeteer-cluster is a library that can spawn multiple instances of Chromium via Puppeteer. So it still uses Puppeteer, the main library, but it helps you to keep track of multiple jobs. Okay, you can call them jobs. So this is helpful, as it says right here, to crawl multiple pages or run tests, but in parallel, all concurrently or at the same time. So Puppeteer-cluster takes care of reusing Chromium and restarting the browser in case of errors. So let's see a simple example right here. So to install it, just do npm install, that's the save Puppeteer-cluster, which I'll show you in a moment. So as you will see, we get a cluster from Puppeteer-cluster, and as you will see here, there is a few things we can specify. We can say how the concurrency will work. So there's three options. So if you select concurrency page, it opens a new page for each task you put it. So for each page, it opens a new page. So now for concurrency browser, what it does is instead of a new page for a task, what it does is it opens a new browser, a new window. Actually, yeah, new window. So for each task, it opens a new window. And from that page that is open, it does everything else. So it's like I'm running multiple times Puppeteer, just normal Puppeteer. And now for concurrency context, okay, so what the difference is from the concurrency page is instead of a normal page, it opens a page in incognito. But yeah. So what we will be using is concurrency page. That's the best way because that's the fastest way to do it. But I don't know, if you want to use concurrency browser, there is many reasons that you will want to do that. In case the browser fails, it gets an error or something like that, it crashes for any reason, this will not affect the other tasks or jobs. But I use page because if there is an error, I guess I will somehow handle it. So let me show you what we'll be doing first. So I guess we can choose 4 categories. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we can do 2, but you can do as many as you want. So we will give it an array of links. So this is the first link, this is the second link, and it will scrap them concurrently or at the same time. Now let's go back to the example. The other option you can pass, you have to pass that, is max concurrency. So you can set how many pages you want it to scrape at the same time. So you can give it to scrape 100 pages, but you can say, okay, there is a limit of 2 pages, so you have to scrape those 2 pages first to go to the next 2 pages. Of course, there is no limit to this one, it just limits to whatever your computer can handle. Now let's go down here first. So as you can see, this is how you put it to scrape the links. So you put them in queue. After they are no longer in queue, we go here and we have the page. So page dot something, we get it from here. And we also get the URL. So for every task, this one runs for every task, and it does something right here. So we will copy this one, go to the code, which you can download from GitHub, and build another file called cluster.js. And copy this one here. Of course, we will make a change. Like I said, we will use concurrency page. This is the best way to do that because it's the most efficient way. It doesn't require as many resources as the one with the browser. Max concurrency, since we will only test 2 of them, I'll put 2. But even if I put 100, there is no difference there, so I can just leave it like that. I can specify the pages here, so const URLs equal to an array, and I'll put the strings in a bit. So now somehow we need to transfer everything that happens here to this file right here. So let's think about it. First of all, I'll delete everything right here. Actually, let's see something. So first of all, let's see how this works. Let's make sure it works. So I'll pass another option here, and it's called Puppeteer. I'll open an object, and I'll pass some options. So here you pass the options that you would also pass right here on the puppeteer.launch. So I can just copy them and put them here. and I just passed the options that I'll pass here to Puppeteer cluster using the Puppeteer option. So now that I have passed them, that's not necessary. Okay. I guess let's just go to that URL and not close the browser. I don't want to close the browser. Format it. Okay, and run it. So node cluster. Okay, before we do that, we have to download the package. So I'll go up here, copy this one. Okay, that was fast. Now, if it's your first time that you are downloading this code, also run npmi. But just if you run npmi, I'll have update the pagination, so it will download Puppeteer cluster as well. So let's remove that and let's see what it does. So let's do node cluster. Okay, enable to launch browser. Okay, let's see. So the Puppeteer option, I probably did something wrong in the Puppeteer option, maybe. Okay, so yeah, as you see here, it's called Puppeteer options, not just Puppeteer. So let's change that and run it again, and there you go. So as you see, for a split of a second, it opened both of the pages here. So let me run it again so you can see it. It's fast, so this right here. Okay, did you see that? It opened Google and Wikipedia at the same time. Now, I didn't tell it to do anything, so it didn't stop for a bit to do something. But now let's replace few things so it works with our previous code. So first of all, I'll do const URLs and add the URLs we want to scrape at the same time. So we will do this one. And also this one, the Oculus. There you go. Amazon Basics and Oculus. Let's do that. Okay. Now, next step is to run the URLs. But how can we do that dynamically? I don't want to just copy paste it like multiple times, the URL, because that can be dynamic. The URLs can be dynamic. So what we can do is use a for loop for each URL of URLs. We can tell it to await, because we might need to do that asynchronously. So we can tell it to first run this one and then the other URL and then the other URL, not like randomly or something, asynchronously. So we can do that and then just put the URL inside of here. Okay, step number 1 is done. Now what we need to do is right here replace what it will do with this one right here. So from this one, await page.goto, we don't want this part. Everything after that, copy. Neither the await browser.close, because this is replaced by this one right here. So there we go. We format it and this should be it. But of course we need to replace the URL with the dynamic URL option. So format it. And yeah, that is. Okay, so CLS and let's run it. Actually, let me stop it, but before I stop it, okay, that was weird. But okay, we can fix that. So let me close that first of all. Let me go to the results, delete the previous results, so we can make sure it's working. And we have to add something else here, something that can handle the errors, because we probably had an error when it stopped, but we didn't handle it, so it just crashed. So let's see how we can handle the errors. Up here, error handling. Right here, okay, so it uses a event handler called cluster on task error, and it gives us some data. So it gives us the URL, yeah, that's probably it, and the error message. So let's copy it, put it right here above the cluster, the task, and run again. Okay, once the page loads, for some reason it stops working. Okay, so it says error crawling. Okay, FS is not defined. Okay, so we forgot to copy the const fs. So let's run it again. And now it seems to be working. As you saw, Oculus changed the page. Boom, it finished with the pages. It was almost 3 pages. Now this one also works, so it goes to the next page. And okay, we wait. Okay, probably crashed. Maybe because I interfered while it was working. Yeah, I probably did. Okay, so let me run it again without interfering. But as you will see, both Amazon Basics right here and Oculus worked, but let's see if it will work without any issues again. So let's rerun it. Oculus will finish first because it only has 3 pages, so this is the third one. Okay, actually 4. And now we are on the Amazon Basics, and it goes to almost 7 pages. Okay, and done, it finished. Now the browser didn't close because, as you'll remember, we have comment this one right here. So there we go. We uncomment. Now it will close the browser and it will let us know the task was completed successfully. So yeah, there we go. Now you can get more results and faster using Puppeteer cluster. So this is one example. Another idea you can do is you can tell it to scrape one category, just multiple pages each time. So you can give it a queue with page number 1, page number 2, all the way to page number 7. Or if it has several thousand, you can like queue several thousands pages. Because how you can do that is probably the URL contains, okay, right here. So it says page equal to 2, and we are on the second page. Now if I replace that with number 3, it should go to page number 3. So yeah, page number 3. So to give you an idea, what you can do is, I guess, use a while. So while I equal to 0 and while I is lower or equal to the page, the max page of each category, let's say is 400, but you can fetch that. So you can go right here, inspect, and you can get the last number and say, okay, this is the max pages we can get to. So then put it here, then do await cluster, I guess put the URLs here, and you can put dynamically the page number by using the I method right here, the I variable, sorry. So that's to give you an idea how you can do it with multiple pages. One thing which seems quite useful that I forgot to say, I just remember it, is you can pass an option called monitor, and you can set it to true. By default it's set to false. And now if I run it again, Nodejs cluster, if we go right here, you'll see it gives us like a panel or something like that. It gives us some data about the script. So when it started, how much time it's running, what is the progress, so how many pages are finished. We can see it was 1, now it's 2, how much time it remained, and how many pages it got per second. The system load, so how much CPU we have left, so we are doing 20%, 45% memory, and how many workers we have concurrently, and also the pages that are running. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my next videos. Also, let me know down in the comments what would you like to see next, if you want to see something different, or if you want another Puppeteer tutorial with few other methods, like this one. So yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye. Hello everyone, my name is Mike and welcome to the 5th tutorial in the Puppeteer tutorial series. In this video, what we will be talking about is how we can bypass reCAPTCHA in Puppeteer using the hCaptcha API. By the way, before we continue, I want to mention that hCaptcha API is paid, so have that in mind. By the way, if this is your first time in Puppeteer, make sure you check my playlist where I have tutorials explaining how Puppeteer works and other useful things for Puppeteer. So yeah, let's continue. First of all, I'm going to go to hCaptcha.com website. So before I continue, make sure you sign up there. And they have a minimum deposit of $3. So to be able to use their API, you have to make a minimum deposit of $3. So yeah, I have done that already. And as you can see, now I'm at 63 cents because I use it personally. So if I scroll down, I want to show you how much you pay per solves. So my rate currently is $3 per 1000 solves. I haven't done 1000 solves, but for the ones I have done, it calculates that's my rate. So for every about $3, you get 1000 solves. So yeah, have that in mind. Now next, I'm going to show you the website we will be using this on. So Google provides you a demo, and what we will make the script to do is solve the captcha and just click submit, and that's it. So let's go on the plugin, the reCAPTCHA plugin for Puppeteer. And as you will see, it's really just easy to use. So first of all, we pass it the API we get from hCaptcha, and you can find it right here. So API key, and next to that it should be your API key. So yeah, that's it. Now let's go back. So here the ID is the provider, and we are using hCaptcha.com, and the token should be your own hCaptcha API key. Now visual feedback is if you want to see the captcha, if it is solved or not. So if you have headless off and you are able to see the browser while the script is running, it will colorize the reCAPTCHA valid detected and green solved, as it says right here. But I guess it's not really useful for production, just for testing. Now here we are on the code. So all it does is it says to go to the page with the reCAPTCHA, and there is just one single line of code which does await page.solve reCAPTCHAs. And now we are waiting for navigation, and then once the captcha is solved, we click the submit button, which is this one right here. And then we take a screenshot. So let's copy this example and get it started on our code. So this is the code from previous tutorials, but don't mind, we will create a new file and call it captcha.js, and we will copy the example, the code example, and we need to install a few things. First of all, open terminal, and if you are not in a Node.js application, you first need to create a Node.js application. So first of all, create a folder. Next, you need to run npm init-y, actually just npm init, click it, fill the details, and then a package.json will be created. Then create the captcha.js file, and now follow along with me. So what we will do is npmi, now Puppeteer by itself. It's not used here, you cannot see somewhere require Puppeteer itself, but Puppeteer Extra uses Puppeteer. So we need to download it. Then next, we need to download Puppeteer Extra, then the plugin, and that's basically it. Now I'll do data save to save it on our package.json. This will take some time, as it is downloading Chromium as well. Now that the installation is finished, I'll go back to my hCaptcha dashboard, copy the API key, and replace the token, the XXX here, with my API key. Now down here, I'll do one change, and that's headless. I'll put it default, so I am able to see how it works, where you can see real time. And also I'll remove screenshot because I don't need a screenshot, since I'll be watching the script solving the reCAPTCHA myself. So let's comment it out. Let's comment it out and run node captcha.js. As you see, it's opening a window, and as you'll see, the reCAPTCHA got kind of grayed out, and that means the script is start to interact with it. It takes quite some time, so have that in mind. It will not solve it immediately. And there we go. Did you catch that? It solved it. You click submit and the page closed. But I don't want the page to close. I want to click submit and also see the success page. So let me rerun it. And you see it got grayed out. So that means the script is start to interact with it. And there we go. It got solved. And we got on the success page, verification success, hooray. So that's it. Now there is some other things I want to show you. In most websites, just by doing that, it will not work, since they put reCAPTCHA, this box right here, in an iframe. So we need to tell Puppeteer to look its iframe and try to solve a reCAPTCHA if there is any. So let's go ahead and do that. If you scroll down here on troubleshooting, solving CAPTCHA in iframes, it gives us how we can do that. So I'll just copy that and replace this one right here with this one. So what that does is it grabs all the frames from the page, every child frames, and then for every frame it tries to solve the reCAPTCHAs. And something useful we can use is to get some result information from the solved reCAPTCHA. So I'll copy this one right here. And for example, if you want the script to act depending on those information, that could be useful. Or if you want to save those information. So there we go. Now let me console.log them. Actually, probably you only want the solved one. So what that will do is it will console.log if it was solved or not. And another useful tip that this plugin tells us to do is wait for a selector. And for example, a page will not load the reCAPTCHA immediately. So when you visit the page, the reCAPTCHA might not be there. So a useful thing to do is to wait for an iframe depending on the selector of it, and once it's visible, then try to solve it. Again, that can be used in the iframe as well. So what we can do before we look for the iframes, we can first wait for a specific one. We can give the selector of the iframe and then try to solve them. So that's mostly it. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can check the API down in the description, this reCAPTCHA plugin, for more information. So yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my future videos. Hello everyone, my name is Mike, and in this video I'll show you how you can solve normal captcha in Puppeteer using the hCaptcha API. So yeah, let's get it started. So first of all, I want to mention that normal captcha is an image, like this one right here, that contains distorted but human readable text. So this is a human readable text within the image, but it looks distorted, but we can still read it. To solve the captcha, user has to type the text from the image and just click a submit button. So what we'll be doing in this video is we will basically download the image, send it to the API, and the API will give us the letters, and then we will automatically type the letters here and click submit. Before we continue further, I would like to mention that this video is a continuation of my Puppeteer tutorial series. So if you haven't watched my previous episodes and you'd like to know more about Puppeteer, click up here and you should be redirected to my playlist, which will include this video right here. So yeah, let's continue. I want to mention that hCaptcha API is a paid solution. While it's cheap, it's still paid, so let me show you how much it costs. And if I scroll down here, you will see my rate per 1,000. For my normal captcha, this is what we are solving today, but I have made a video for reCAPTCHA as well, the previous video from this one right here. So my rate per 1,000 is just about 80 cents. 80 cents USD, okay? So that's how much it costs. So for every 1,000 souls you use this API for, so every 1,000 images you send to this API, you will be charged about 80 cents. So first of all, they don't have a Nodejs solution. They only include a Python solution, PHP and more. For this video, we will be using their Python API, which is really simple to use, and I will show you how you can do that as well. So first of all, if you haven't already, go ahead and download Python. Link in the description. So just download Python. Make sure when you open the installation, check the path, install to path, so you can be able to use Python from the command line. So I'll copy this code, go right here, create a new file, let's call it hCaptcha.py, copy the code, and we only have to install one module, one package, and that's hCaptcha. But because we cannot do pip install hCaptcha, we have to, it's different, it has a different name. So give me 1 second. So as you'll see right here, the package name is actually hCaptcha/Python. So I'll copy that command right here. By the way, link in the description as well. And now I'll open terminal. As you'll see, I have connected Python with my Visual Studio Code. I'll just copy paste the command. And it says requirement already satisfied because I have already downloaded it. But for you, it should just download it. And it works currently for Python 3.10. So if it doesn't work for you, by the time you watch the video, just install a previous version of Python. 3.10 works, so try that one. So if you haven't already done, sign up for hCaptCHA API, link in the description as well. After you sign up, just deposit minimum $3 and you will get your own API key by going to this page right here, scroll up, and you will see your API key right here. Just copy it and replace it right here. So before we make the changes, let's start with the Node.js part, with the Puppeteer part. So I'll create a new file and call it normal captcha.js, and now I'll go to Puppeteer in npm, so link again down in the description, and you should be redirected to this page. First thing you need to do is run npmi puppeteer -save on your folder, so let me go ahead and do that. So npmi puppeteer -save. This will take some time, so have that in mind because it's downloading Chromium. So while that downloads, let's go here and copy this example. I'll copy it here, and now first of all we want to replace our destination with the demo page. So let me copy this one right here, paste it here, delete the screenshot function because we will not be using that. Also comment for now browser to close because we don't want the browser to close, and also add an option which will be headless false because I want the browser to be open and visible. So we don't want the URL though, because the URL should be always the same for other websites. For this one it doesn't change because it's a demo, so if I refresh the page it's still the same captcha. But for other websites, the captcha will always update. So now, instead of getting the URL and downloading the image from there, we will tell the script to download the image directly from the image currently displayed. So let me show you how we can do that. So first of all, I'll go to network, delete all the requests, refresh the page, and I want to show you something. So right here we have the image URL, and if I copy it here and paste it here on the filter, you shall see on our requests we are getting the image. So that's how we will get the image that is currently displayed and not a random image. So we will get it from the requests. So I'll go here and we have to add something. First of all, before we even visit the page, we have to add this function, and that will do page on, and we will do response. We will use asynchronous, and we will get a response. And from that, what we can do is const image URL, and we want to filter all the requests by the URL. But first of all, we have to get each response URL. So this is how we get the URL from the response. So page on response runs every time we have a new response, and we just want to check for the image response in the image request with the response. Now we want to check two things. First of all, actually just one thing, if image URL equal to this URL right here, which never changed. If it does, or what we can do, say it changes, but like a part of it stays the same. Let's say this one stays the same for us, but for you, maybe this part stays the same always. What you can do is if the URL dot includes and the part of the URL. So what we can do is delete this and just keep this one right here. You can check which part stays the same. So if it does, then we want to start downloading the file. And to do that, I'm gonna copy an example and replace few things. So we want to set a file name. So let's say file name equal to this one right here. If you are going to download multiple captchas, what you can do is just put a dynamic number at the front So let me do that. Okay, so let's do right here, let file name equal to, first it will be nothing, and then we will update it here. So we can get the dynamic file name right here, because it might not be the same if you are getting multiple. Now that I set a file name, I can create a stream with the file name. So what I'm doing here is I tell response.buffer, and then from the response, I start downloading the image right here. Of course, I don't want to save it right here, but in a folder, so we can do a folder named captchas, and I can do captchas plus the file name. Now I want to be checking when the file is successfully downloaded and then send a request to my Python code to get the code. So what I will do is add another variable that says let file downloaded equal to false, but once it's downloaded we will do equal to true. Format it. Now that we did that, we want to go down here and say while file not downloaded. Actually, we have to add one more variable, and that will be to let updated image to false. And we want to say while the image is not updated, run the while. So while it's not true, start checking if the file is downloaded. So if file name, and we can set that to false as well, if file name plus file downloaded. So if the file name is updated and the file is downloaded, we want to start getting code. For now, that will be empty, so let's leave it like that. But we have to add one more thing. So on the while, we don't want that to run like super fast. We want to give it some space, let's say a few milliseconds. So we will add a sleep function. So let me put that right here. So that sets a timeout. So what we can do is use that function right here and say await sleep, and let's say sleep for 100 milliseconds. So this will be checking every 100 milliseconds if the file is downloaded. And now if the file is downloaded and the file name exists, we want to say updated image to true, because we don't want the while true to run anymore. And then we want to do something here. For now, let's do console.log file name and file downloaded. Image URL, I don't think we need that anymore. Let's delete it, since we're using response again to do it more dynamically. Now let me rerun the app and see if it works. Okay, so we got an error. Let's see what it is. fs is not defined. Okay, let's define it. So let's go up here and say const fs equal require fs. This is for storing the image. You don't have to npm install that because it's already installed. It's pre-installed in Nodejs. So let's see. Okay, it says it's downloaded. So if I go to captchas, there it is. Let me open it, and there's the image. Great. So step number 1 is done. Now for step number 2, we have to go on the Python code and make the changes. So for the path to the image, we want to get the path from the arguments we will provide from the Node.js script. So I'll replace the URL with this one right here, which gets the second argument. So first argument would be to captcha.py, the file of the Python code, and second argument will be the file location, which we'll provide to the Python code. Now, one more thing we have to do is, instead of doing that right here, we have to run this to stop the Python code. And also, what we are doing here is trying to get the result. If there's an error, stop it. If there is not, again stop it, but before it stops it, I want it to print the result in a string. And of course, replace your API key, and as I see that, that's it for Python. Now, back on Node.js, I'll copy a code which runs the Python code. So what we are doing here is we open a terminal not visible, and we are running Python and then the Python file name, which will be hCaptcha.py, and here we provided the file name, which is this one right here, the argument, the second argument. So it starts from 0. So this is the second argument, and it is the file name. And now here we are listening for data. So what we are saying right here is get the data, translate that to a string because it's not a string, and replace the quotes with double quotes, single quote with a double quote. So I have to add a variable named code. So let's let code equal to false. So let's test this for now. So before we continue by writing the code on the input it has and clicking submit to check if it worked, let's first check if we actually get the code. I can do console.log and then the code. So let's test that. By the way, have in mind the captcha is not solved immediately. It might take a few seconds to a minute. Okay, so as you'll see, it gives me false, which shouldn't be what it should give me, but actually it is. So again, like we did for the image, we have to check when the code is updated. So let me add another variable, but for the code this time. And what I'll do is while, but for the code, while code isn't updated, sleep for 100 milliseconds. Make sure you include that. And now what I will do is if code, so if there is something in code but not false, I'll console.log the code. Of course, make sure you set the updated code to true before you console.log or before you do anything, because you don't want this to run twice. Now let me delete this one and rerun the code. So for some reason a lot of time passed and I didn't get anything. So let me go here, stop the app and go. Okay, so it worked now. So what the issue was is Python 3.10 isn't working for the solution. I tried it with Python 3.7.9 and it works. So actually make sure you install 3.7.9 instead of any of the other versions, and it should work fine. As you'll see here, it works. So let me remove that. So what I had to do here is, because I use multiple Python versions, I just got the python.exe from Python 3.7 and gave it the file location here, as instead it runs Python 3.10 by default. So yeah, let's continue. So now that we get the code, let me get back to the CAPTCHA demo page, click inspect, and now what we want to do is type the answer right here. So I'll get the input class name, or actually let's do the ID. And what we will do is tell Puppeteer to type on that field the code. So to do that, what we can do is do await page dot type, then we give it the selector. Make sure you put a hashtag for ID or a dot for the class name, and here we will do the code, and that's it. Now after doing that, we can tell it to sleep like for 100 milliseconds. So basically for other pages, if you do it really fast, you give it the code and then click submit in a millisecond, give it the code and click submit immediately, it might detect you as a bot, so we give it some space. You can do more if it does detect you. And then what we can do is await page.click, and we can click the submit button. So let's go back, find the check, and get the class name of it. So it has multiple, but we can just use the first one. Yep. Okay, so let's do that. Put a dot because it's a class name, and that's it. So now let's test it. CLS to clear the terminal and rerun it. It takes some time to solve it. And there we go. So it input the text and it click check, and there it is. Let me know down in the description if you have any other questions, or would you like to see anything different, and what would you like to see in the next video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my future videos. And of course, code down in the description so you can download it, and it will have this code, the updated code, in the description. Hello everyone, my name is Michael, and in today's video I'm going to show you 3 simple methods to bypass Puppeteer detection. So method number 1 is to use a Puppeteer plugin called Puppeteer Extra Plugin Stealth. And what that basically do is apply a few settings on your Puppeteer automatically, so it makes it like 90% undetectable or something like that. And it's really easy to use. So first of all, instead of using normal Puppeteer, you use Puppeteer Extra, which basically enables you to use Puppeteer plugins. So like Puppeteer Extra Plugin Stealth, you can use another plugin which enables you to solve captchas, which I have a video up. If you click up here, you can visit that so you can see how you can solve captchas automatically. For the first example, we will use normal Puppeteer so you can see what it gives us, because what this script does is it goes to a website, and if we go on that website, as you'll see, it gives us few information about our browser. And basically whenever you use Puppeteer, a normal Puppeteer, basically most of them right here are red, and that means the website detected we are a bot. But in this scenario, because I opened it on my browser, everything is green, so it passed the test. So first of all, let me copy the code and create a new folder, and here I'll open terminal, and let's do npm puppeteer save. Actually, before I do that, I have to create a package.json, so let's do npm init-y. There we go. Now let me do npm puppeteer save. So while it installs Puppeteer, let's go ahead and open our folder in VS Code. So let's do code dot. And there we go. So now first of all, let's create an index.js file, and let's copy paste the code we got from the example. And now first of all, let's replace Puppeteer Extra with Puppeteer, so with normal Puppeteer, and let's comment out the stealth plugin. So right now we are using the same example, but instead of using the Puppeteer stealth plugin, we are using just normal Puppeteers, so we can see the differences. So let me run the program. So let's do node index.js, and there we go, it took the screenshot. So first of all, let's zoom in, and there we go. So as you see, the difference with using my normal browser, as you'll see here, we got a lot of reds, and red means we got detected. And we got detected on our user engine, on our WebDriver, and some other test names. And usually what you want to see is multiple green ones, and that means right here, basically what normal website do when they try to detect if you're a bot, they will check the user agent. This is the most important one, and then they will detect everything else. So as you'll see, this is what normal Puppeteer looks like. We got detected on a lot of tests. Now let's go ahead and apply Puppeteer Extra Plugin Stealth. So let me uncomment it. And now let's use Puppeteer Extra. And of course, let's download those 2 modules, those 2 packages. So let's do npm Puppeteer Extra, and then install the plugin, and then let's do that as a save. And now let me change the name here to 2 so we can check the differences. And now let's rerun the program. So as you'll see, this time by using Puppeteer Stealth, we were able to bypass the user agent test. So as you'll see, we got a green one right here, and we bypassed a lot of the other tests. We failed on some of them though, on WebGL vendor and some other tests, but it managed to bypass many of them, which is good. Because usually a website is not detecting all of them, it will not check every single one of them, because in some browsers WebGL might not work or something like that. So they are basically checking the most default ones. But right now let me show you even better way to get undetectable, and that's to use your own browser. Because as you saw, my browser got all green except of one, but that's not important. Because it got all green, it means it's way better to use. So by default, Puppeteer is using Chromium, and it's not using a user data directory like my normal Chrome browser. And to use my browser, we have to use two things. First of all, we have to use Chrome instead of Chromium, and we have to use the Chrome that we have downloaded on my computer. And to find the location of my Chrome, all we have to do is go to Chrome -- version. And as you see here, if we go to the executable path, here we can see the Chrome path for the chrome.exe, which is the Chrome program. So let me copy that, and let me go back to Visual Studio Code, and we will pass another option called executable path. And here we will have a string, and inside of the string we will pass the path. But we have to change one thing, and that's instead of backslash, we will use a normal slash. And now another thing we have to do is copy our profile path. And that's because I want to tell it to use my profile. And in this case, it will use this profile named Web's Dev Team. So to use your profile path, all you have to do is pass another option called user data dir, which means user data directory. And we have to make that equal to our profile directory. Again, we have to change the backslash to normal slash. And another thing you have to do, which is what I recommend, is not use a specific profile, but use the default profile. I don't think it has a difference, but it's best to use the default profile. And now another thing you have to do is open Task Manager and make sure you kill all your Chrome instances. So let's do that. Otherwise it will fail because you have already your Chrome open. And now let's go on terminal, new terminal, and then let's run node index.js. And let's do a slight difference before we run the script and do test result 3. Let's run the program. And as you saw, we got almost all of them green except of one. And that's probably because we have headless on true. And now we go on method 3, which is instead of using headless to true, we use headless to false. And if you don't already know, headless means if the browser, when you run the script, will be visible to you or not. So now if we rerun the script, as you'll see, our window pops up, and that's because it's using our browser. And as you see, we got all green, but again, we can check the screenshot. And if we go to test result 3, as you see, we got all of them green. And that's it. That's the top 3 methods I use normally. You can also use, and so that's a bonus method I'm going to show you right now. So to do that, add a comma and then add arguments. And to do that, pass args, and then it's an array. And here we will pass another one called proxy server, like that. And let's do HTTP. And we use proxies to redirect our requests from our computer to another computer. And you usually do that not to be undetectable, but whenever you want to send many requests, most websites will block you by your IP address. So what you want to do is frequently change your IP address to another IP address. And to use a custom IP address, like I did right here, we use proxy server, we specify HTTP, or if you use SOX4 or SOX5, instead of HTTP, you put that. And here we specify our IP address and the port number. So let me give you an example. Let's say 162.23.125 and then 34, and then the port number 8080. This is just an example. I'm not sure if this IP address exists. And yeah, that's basically it. By using those 4 methods, and I use them very frequently when I want to bypass detection, you can bypass any kind of detection. Like, you can bypass detection 99% of the time by using those 4 methods. So yeah, if you got value from this video, I would really appreciate if you hit that like button. You can subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can get more value from this channel. And yeah, see you in my next videos. Bye bye. Also, make sure you comment down below what you want to see next. Hello everyone, my name is Michael, and in today's video I'm going to show you how you can bypass hCaptcha in Puppeteer using a Puppeteer plugin called Puppeteer Extra Plugin reCAPTCHA. As the title of the plugin says, it solves reCAPTCHA, but if we scroll down, you will see that it also solves hCaptCHAs since the version 3.3. So yeah, now we can also solve hCaptCHA. Now I have made another video on this plugin as well, but in that video my example was to solve reCAPTCHAs. But in this video, we will do almost the same thing, but we will use hCaptcha instead of reCAPTCHA. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, let me scroll down. And what we will go ahead and do is first of all create a new Nodejs project and copy paste this example right here. By the way, I'll have the link down in the description so you can click it and you'll be redirected to this page. So let's go ahead and do that. So first create a new folder and we will open terminal by clicking up here and typing cmd. It will open terminal in this location. So this is a quick trick you can use, and we will do npm init and then -y so it fills everything up automatically, and then we will do code dot, which will open this folder in VS Code. Now let's create a new file called index.js, and here we will have our Puppeteer example. And before we move any further, let's go back in the documentation. And as you see, instead of Puppeteer, it used Puppeteer Extra. So it's basically Puppeteer with some extra options. Like, for example, with this Puppeteer Extra, you can use plugins, for example. Because we have the reCAPTCHA plugin, we have plugins like Stealth. So what we will do now is copy this example. But first we need to replace this link right here, and we will use an hCaptcha link. So let's go ahead and find one. So there we go. Quickly by searching on Google, I typed hCaptcha demo, and here's a demo we can use. So let me copy the link and we will go here, and I guess I'll just click submit, but let's test it first manually to make sure what happens. So I solve it, so let's go ahead and do that. There we go, and now we click submit, and whenever we do that automatically we should see this response. So let's type try again, and let's get the selector for the submit button, which is, if we do here, so to find the selector for any element on a website, what you can do is open console and then go to elements, then click this button right here, hover over the element and click on it, and click on the element that has the blue background. That means it's selected. So right click, copy, and then copy selector. And this is a quick trick you can use to find any selector for any element in a website. So let's do that. And there we go. That's basically it. Now I don't want to take a screenshot, neither I want to close the browser. What I want to do is, first of all, from headless true we will do false, so we can see what's going on, so we make sure it works. Something I want to mention is that this plugin is free to use, but the provider which basically solves your hCaptcha is not free, but it's pretty cheap. So let me show you the provider. So the provider is hCaptcha.com, which I'll have a link down in the description, and I would really appreciate if you sign up from there, as it is an affiliate link. So this is hCaptcha, and it doesn't cost 0.5. It's actually $3 per 1,000 solved captchas. So if you use this method right here, the solve reCAPTCHAs 1,000 times, then you will be charged about $3. Of course that depends, but it's about that, $3. So yeah, sign up through the link, or if you have already signed up, then sign into your account, scroll down, and you should find your API key. So click copy, and then go back to our code, and instead of this token right here, put your API key. So here is where you want to put your API key, which I'll put in a bit. So let's see, yeah, that's actually it. We don't have to do anything else. So that's it. So let's open terminal, new terminal, and then let's do nodejs.js. And of course we have to install Puppeteer and Puppeteer Extra. So let's do npmi Puppeteer. Actually, I think just by downloading Puppeteer Extra, it will download Puppeteer as well. I'm not sure though. And then let's download Puppeteer Extra plugin reCAPTCHA, and then let's save. And there we go, everything is installed. So let's go ahead and run this up. So we'll do node index.js, and a window opened up, and as you'll see, it doesn't work. And I'm not sure if you have that as well, but with the new Puppeteer version, nothing works. So let me download npmi Puppeteer. Let's save. There we go. So download Puppeteer as well, and then change the version to 5 point something. That solves my issue. I'm not sure if it will do the same for you. And then what you should do is delete package-log, and then node modules. And then we have to reinstall everything, so we'll run npmi. So now let's run the app. So we'll do node index.js, and it's visiting the website I showed you before. So as you will see, it's grayed out, and that means right now the captcha API, the hCaptcha API is solving hCaptcha, and there we go. As you see, for a split of a second, you saw the green mark, which means it was solved, and then it clicked submit. And there we go, that's basically it. Let me know down in the comments if that was helpful, and what would you like to see next. Also, if this video was helpful, or if you got any value from this video, I'll really appreciate if you hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my future videos. So yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye. Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome back to this Puppeteer tutorial series. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can save your cookies locally and then reuse them in your Puppeteer application whenever you want. So a great usage for that will be, for example, you want to log into a website once, and then whenever you visit that website again, or whenever you rerun your Puppeteer app, you want to reuse the cookies so you don't have to log in again. So let me show you how you can do that. So I'll be using my code from my GitHub repo and I'll create a new file. You can download my updated GitHub repo, which will also have this episode code down in the description. And I'll create a file called cookies.js, and here we will run our code for today. So first of all, let me copy a Puppeteer template. And now in this video, we will try to log into Gmail, then successfully log in, save the cookies, and then reuse the cookies. So let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, I'll copy paste the link that we used to connect to our Google account. And here, let's replace screenshot. Now let me grab this one and let's code each step to log in. So first of all, we will wait for the page to fully load, and we will do that by saying wait until and then network idle 2. Then we will type, actually we have to do our username first, then we will click next, then we have to wait for navigation, then we will type our password, we will click next, again we will wait for navigation, and then we will save cookies. We will get the cookies, we will console.log them. So for now, let's console.log them and we will do the rest later. Headless to false, so you can see what the application does. And I'm not sure if those are correct yet. Those are generated from Copilot. So let's test if it did work. So let's open terminal, new terminal, and then let's run node cookies.js. Okay, so you open that, you put the email, and then it says node is either not clickable or not an HTML element. Let's see what's the selector for the password, and then let's just copy the selector. So copy and then copy the selector and paste it. There we go. Let's do wait until and then load. So let's see what does that mean. So let's do a console.log page loaded, and if that runs, then we have an issue with the selector. Otherwise, wait for navigation doesn't really work. So let's do that. Okay, page loaded. Actually, what we can do instead is wait for the selector, and we need it to be visible and not hidden. So let's do hidden and then put that to false. There we go. And it doesn't click next, which is weird. So let's see where's the selector for next. Okay, it's not the same, so let's copy selector. Actually, never mind, there we go. Let's copy and then copy selector, and let's run it again. So it types the password, but it doesn't click the button. Let's remove that. Let's remove that for now. And let's give some timeouts. So let's say sleep. There we go. And then sleep 10 seconds. Okay, so we have to do a wait. Okay, let's put it on a wait before clicking the button. And let's do 1 second. That should probably be more than enough. Okay, can I access sleep? Okay, so that's right. So let's put it outside. Let's define it here. There we go. So it did click the button. It just has to wait for a bit. And as you see, it's successfully logged in. Now, after waiting for 10 seconds, I guess you can do here a wait for navigation, but let's put that to be more secured. And as you see, this is the cookies we get after we log in. Now, what we can do is save them locally. So let me show you how we can do that. So it's very easy. So we will just create a cookies.json file and we will save them there. So to do that, I guess we can first of all define fs and get the promises, because we need it to be asynchronous. And then below the cookies, we will just say fs.write file. So we will create a file and then save the cookies inside those cookies.json file. So let's rerun the app. So it will put the email, the password, it will wait for 10 seconds, and then here the cookies.json file will be created. And there we go. So here's our cookies. Now how we can use them. Let's create a new file to test that out. So let's do cookies and -test.js. And then let's copy a Puppeteer example as well. And now here we will add 3 lines of code actually. So first of all, we will define fs. Before we go to the page, we will load the cookies. So here we are basically load cookies. So what we would do right here is we get the cookies.json asynchronously, we parse them to JSON, and then we use a function from Puppeteer that says page.setCookie, and then we set the cookies. But that's basically multiple cookies, and that only accepts one. That's why we do that. So we basically get the objects immediately. Let's do headless to false so you can see what is happening. And then let's not close the page immediately after visiting the page because we don't want that. So we will run the app. And now if we open a new tab, as you'll see, our account is logged in. So yeah, that's basically how you can save cookies and then reuse them. Now, apps like Google might log you out the next time you try to log in. So have that in mind, but other websites will basically not do that. They are not as secure as Google. It should work, just try it out and let me know down in the comments. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know if you got any value from this video, and if you did, hit that like button, subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my future videos. Also, shout out to this viewer that got the idea for this video. So yeah, if you also have an idea, leave it down in the comments. So with that said, see you in the next video. Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome to another episode in this Puppeteer tutorial series. In this episode, we will see how we can capture, block and mock requests in Puppeteer. So yeah, with that said, let's get into the video. So first of all, if you don't know already what requests are, let's go on a browser and let's go on this page on Google, which is the images for the keyword mountain. And what we can do is right click, click inspect, and then go to the network tab. Now we have to refresh the page in order to get all the requests. And as you see, basically what the requests are, the request that the website does in order to get any of the assets that are necessary to load that certain page. For example, to load this page, we need to get our profile data, we need to get some data for the word mountain, we want to get the CSS, the JavaScript, we want to get each image, so each image has its own request, as you can see right here. And then yeah, basically any assets that the website needs or that certain page needs, it does a request to get that. And that's what the requests are. So with that said, let's go back into the code. And first of all, let's create a new file and let's name it requests.js. And let's go back on index and copy the template. So this is some template we can use. We are basically requiring Puppeteer. We are creating the new browser. We are creating the new page, and then we go to a certain page. Now for this tutorial, we will use this page for our example. So let's copy the URL and paste it here. So first of all, we will do node and then requests.js, and there we go, it opens the page. So what I want to do now is start capturing the requests. Now in order to do that, we can do before we visit the page, we can call a function called page_on. So page_on basically listens to events that happens on that page, and we want to listen on requests. So whenever a request happens, we want to get that request as a callback and do something with that request. So for now, what I would like to do is console.log the request URL. So let's test it out. Now we are capturing requests as they happen. So the moment that they happen, we will console.log the URL of that request. So let's do that. Let's test it out. And as you see, here we have the URLs for the requests. And let me zoom in. So now that's how you can capture requests, and you can get a lot of data from that request. So let me show you some examples. So first of all, as we saw, we can get the request URL, but let's say we only want to get the URLs for each image. So if we go on an image and we go on headers, as you see, that image has a URL that starts like this, and everything else is dynamic. But if we go on each request for that image, it stays the same. So let's see how we can filter the requests so we will only get the images, the image URL that contains this string right here. So the way to do that, we can run an if statement. Actually, here we have to do URL, and we can run an if statement. So if the URL dot includes, and if it includes this part, then we can console.log the URL. So let's run the code again. And now we should only get the images URLs. And there we go. And if I start scrolling down, as you see, I get more and more images because Google loads the images dynamically. So by searching mountain, there are millions of images and they are not loaded all at once, but they are loaded as I'm scrolling down. So as you see, as I'm scrolling down, new requests are happening. So now let's see what other information we can get from that request. So let's go back, and if we go here, we can get all of the information that are shown here from our code. So we can basically get the headers, we can get the payload, we can get the preview, which preview is basically the response, and then we can also get the response. So now we cannot see anything here, but if we go and open a JSON file or a JS file, as you can see, we can get the code from that JS file. So let's see how we can get the response. So first of all, let's filter the requests by the fetch ones. And now let's get specifically this request right here, which has some JSON. So I want to show you how you can filter the request to only get this request and then get the JSON data from that request. So basically get the response. So first of all, let's copy the URL, and here I will do that. But basically we have to remove this part because usually the URL isn't always the same. But this part, I'm certain it will be the same. So I'll leave it as it is. And let's start getting some data. So first of all, let's make it prettier. So like we can say console.log, and we can say the URL. Then we can console.log the method by using this function right here. So we get the request and we get the method from that request. And that's basically to see if that request was a post request, a get request, and all that kind of stuff. Then we can get the headers by using this function right here. So we do request.headers, which basically get the headers. And then that's a JSON. So we will do JSON.stringify. So we can make that JSON a string and then console.log that. So let's log that stuff for now and see what we get. And then we can go on the response side. So as you see, we get the URL, which is this one right here. And then we can see this method was a post request, and we also get the headers. Now, in order to get the response of that request, what we have to do is create a new event listener and say page on, and then we have to listen on response. Because here we're listening as the request is being requested, but to actually get the response of that request, we have to listen to this event. Actually, what we have done right here, we can do the same to here. So let's copy that and we can comment that out for now. And we can use that, but instead of request, we will use response. Now we will get the same data because even after we get the response, we basically get the same URL, method, and headers. So we can leave it as it is. And then to get the body, what we can do is console.log, and let's say response equals to, and then JSON.stringify, and then we can say response.json. Now this has to be asynchronous, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's make this event asynchronous, and then I'll wait for the response. And we get the JSON of that response. So let's run our code, and it says, okay, so we probably have to remove this. It says response.method is not a function. Okay, so we cannot get the method from the response event. Let's run it again. Hopefully we don't get the same error. Okay, good. So as you see now, we get the response correctly. So that's how we can get the body of the response for any request that we want. Now let's see how we can block a request. So let's comment that out, and we have to go back to the request event listener because we don't want to wait for the response, but we want to block the request before it even gets a response. So to do that, we have to listen on the request event. And now what I want to do is, let's say I want to block the new images from loading. So what I can do is, first of all, reload the page so I can get the new requests, and go to an image, get the URL of that image, basically the part that stays the same, copy it, go back, put it here, and what we can do is say if the URL includes and that URL, then we can abort that request. And basically by aborting, we are blocking that request from happening. So we are blocking that request from succeeding, from getting a response. Okay, so we get an error. It says request interception is not enabled. And that's because we have to enable request interception. Okay, so to do that, we have to go before we listen to the request right here and add this function. So what that does is it says the request interception to true. So now we can intercept requests. So let's go back and rerun our code. And now if I rerun the code, there we go. So it works normally. And as you see, right now, those images are not blocked, and I'll explain why. But if we scroll down, as you see, none of the other images are loaded. So it does work. Now, why those are not blocked is because they are not the same address. They don't have the same URL, the same start of that URL. So if we right click and then open image in new tab, as you see, the URL of the image starts with data image, and it's basically the data image URL, where those images right here had this URL. And that's because Google pre-renders a part of their website, so it loads faster. So as you will see, if I reload the website, this part of the website loads immediately, and that's because that's pre-rendered. So now we saw how we can block a request, and now you can use many different ways to do that. So let's use another way. So we can say if the request has a resource type of an image, so if the request is an image, then we do the same thing. So that's another way to block images, and that's a more dynamic way. But as I said, it will still show the first images, but it will block the new images. Now let's see how we can mock a request. And by mocking a request, what I mean is when the request happens, we can intercept that request and give a specific response we want. So an example would be we can replace all the new images we are loading with an image that we want to show. And that also works for JSON, JavaScript, CSS, and all that kind of stuff. So when the request happens, we can find that request and we can give our own response and not the response it should have. So let's see how we can do that. So we can utilize this part right here. And what we can say is request.respond. And here we can pass the data that we want to respond as. So we can pass the status, we can pass the content, which can be image, for example, a PNG image. It can be a JSON. So in order to send a JSON, we can do application/JSON, and that's how you can send JSON. And you get the point. Now you can Google those content types so you can see all of the possibilities. But for now, we will use our example, which will be or a PNG or a JPEG. We can change that later. Also, you can pass the body. Now, in order to show an image, we actually have to download an image, and we will read that image, and we will basically set that code of that image by reading the image as the body. Now, if you want to send, for example, JSON, what would you do is JSON.stringify, because you actually want to send a string and not the actual JSON. And here you will pass the JSON. But for now, let's do this. And let's do something like that. And now let's find an image to replace all the images with. So let's go back. And let's say I want to replace all the images with this image right here. So what I can do is right click, save image as, and there we go. So I saved the image as JPEG. So let's replace that with JPEG. And here we will read the file, which is JPEG. And let's rename it to image. And there we go. So yeah, let's test it out. So let's run our code. and we get fs is not defined, so let's define it. So we can say const fs equals to require fs. And now if we scroll down, you'll see all the images now are replaced with the image we downloaded. And yeah, that's a cool example of how you can mock a request. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you would like to see next. Also hit that like button and subscribe if this video was helpful, and also share the video to your friends so they can also learn how to capture, block, and mock requests. By the way, code will be down in the description, so make sure you check it out. Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome to another episode in this Puppeteer tutorial series. In this episode, we will see how we can use infinite scrolling in Puppeteer so we can scrap, for example, products that load like that. So here we have a demo page, and let's say those are products, and whenever you scroll down, more and more load. So what we can do is make our script to scroll until the end or until X amount of scrolls or items, and then save those items. So yeah, let's see how we can do that. So as you see right here, we have a demo page, and every time I scroll to the bottom of the page, more products are loading. So what I want to do is make a script which will scroll, for example, 20 times or get X amount of items. So each time it will scroll, it will get the new items, it will count them, are they 70? If they are not, it will scroll down again until it grabs the X amount of products, let's say for example 70, and then it will stop. If you'd like to get all of the items, sometimes they never end, and the issue with that is if they don't end, if we keep scrolling down, sometime we will end out of memory, RAM memory, because our browser can load so much, right? So as it keeps loading more and more HTML code, our memory will become smaller and smaller. So you have to put a target to your script. So you can say, for example, okay, grab 100 items, scroll until 100 items are visible, and then scrap them. So yeah, let's see on code how we can do that. So now, like always, we will go in our Puppeteer repository, which you can download from my GitHub repository, link down in the description. And what we will do is create a new file, and let's name it infinite_scrolling.js. And here, first of all, let's require Puppeteer and then run a demo. And there we go. So for our demo, we will open this page. And let's remove that because we don't want the browser to close. And yeah, let's run our script. So we will do node and then infinite_scrolling.js. And we got an error. Okay, so I had to delete node modules and then reinstall them. So with npmi. So let's run our script again. There we go. So we do visit the page, and as you see, everything works. So the next thing we have to do is create a function which will take our page as a parameter and then keep scrolling down to the end of the page. So let's see how we can do that. So first of all, let's say const scrape infinite scroll, and then we can say items because we will need to scrape the items. Now this can be asynchronous because it has to be asynchronous, and as a parameter we can pass the page, and then we can do something like that. So first of all, we store the previous height by getting the scroll height from the body using page.evaluate. So page.evaluate let us run JavaScript, and then by running that we will get the value of what we run. So basically we get the current page height. So it can be 1000 pixels, 1200 pixels, whatever that is. Next, we scroll down to the end of the page. So if the page, for example, is 1200 pixels, we will scroll down until we reach 1200 pixels. By doing that, we trigger this loading right here, this loading effect, which will load more products. Then we say, okay, let's wait for this function. And what this basically does, let's wait until the height of the page is bigger than the previous page. So you basically wait for this loading function to work. And then we wait for 1 second or something like that until the products actually load. Now you can adjust that, or you can just wait for a certain selector, but right now that's not that useful, so I suggest you just use a timeout. So you can wait for 1 second, 2 seconds, you can try it out and see what works for you. 1 second works great for us. And then what we want to do is put that in a while true. So while something is true, keep doing that. So keep scrolling down, and again, scroll down, wait for the products, scroll down, wait for the products. So yeah, let's test it out. So first of all, I have to take this one right here and pass it down here. There we go. So let's run our script. And as you see right here, we keep scrolling down, and we basically get the new products. Again, those are not products, just have in mind those probably most likely will be products or items. So if you are scrapping Reddit, for example, you can keep scrolling down and grab the new post, etc., etc. So we keep doing that forever. Now let's say we want to only get, for example, the first 100 products. So first of all, we will import it right here. So we can say item target count. Then right here, we can say let items equals to an empty array. So we can define items as an empty array. And now let's go back to our page and see, click right here to inspect. And in our case, we just want to get all the text, right? So we want to get infinite scroll box 76, infinite scroll box 77, and basically all the text. So first of all, we will click copy, then copy and come selector. And right here, as you see, our selector is hashtag boxes and then the div. So what we can say is we can query selector and get all the items that match this selector. So how we can do that is we can say const extracted items equals, and then we can say document, and we could say await page.evaluate, and then we can say const items, and we create an array from our query selector, and here we will pass our selector, so it will be just this part, and then we will return our items. But by the way, for each item we want to get the inner text. There we go. That way we can get the text. Now, if you have, for example, if you are scrapping Reddit, here you can return an object, for example, and you can say name, for example, or title. So the title of that item, and then you can query selector again and here you can use the selector for your title, your description, and any other details that you want to get, and then get the inner text or anything else that you want to get. So now let's go back. There we go. And yeah, basically that's it. Then what we want to do is we can say items equals to that. So we don't have to do that. We can just say items equals to that. And now every time this run, items will update. So yeah, let's test it out. Now to make sure it works, we can say console.log and then items to make sure we actually get the text. And then afterwards, we can say console.log items.length. Now we have set here while to true, and this will basically never end. So here now we can use our item target count, and we can say while item target count is bigger than the item's length, run. But when it's the same thing or the items.length are more, then stop. So yeah, let's test it out. And for starters, we have 0. Actually, have we defined? No, we haven't. Okay, so we have to define now the item target count. So let's pass that as a parameter. So we can say 100. And yeah, let's test it out. So now until 100 items are shown, we will not get anything. But then once 100 items are scrapped, then we should get the results here. So let's see. And there we go. So you see, we got an array of 100 items, basically the title for each item. And then we also get that we actually got 100 items. For a finished stat, what we can do is save the items locally. So let's require fs, and right here, after we get the items, we can return them. So we can say return items on our function. We can delete that. And here we can say const items equals to that. And then we can save our items in a JSON by doing that. So we can say write file, we will create an items.json file, and then we will make our JSON to a string and save that. So let's test it out. And there we go, so it almost finished. And now the browser will not close because we have not set it to close, but if we go to items.json, there we go, I can format it. And yeah, there we go. So all our items are saved on our JSON file. So yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know down in the description if you have any questions. Also, let me know if you enjoyed this video by hitting the like button, subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any of my future videos. And also share this video with your friends so they also learn how to utilize infinite scrolling with Puppeteer. And finally, you can join our Discord server. And I created that Discord server so we can help each other out. So yeah, make sure you join the Discord server. And yeah, with that said, see you in the next video. Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome to another episode in this Puppeteer tutorial series where I will show you how you can deploy your Puppeteer script to Heroku for free. By the way, I will do the same for the Selenium series and I will probably do the same thing but with AWS Lambda functions. And that's because the deployment is different, but also you have to make some changes in order to work with Lambda functions. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing I'll do is go on my folder, go on terminal and type npm init-y. Basically create a template. So let's do code dot. So in order to figure out if our Puppeteer script is working after we deploy it, because there's no way of seeing the browser live, what we will do is create a node server and then run the Puppeteer script every time we send a HTTP request. And then if the Puppeteer returns a successful request with some data, then we know it works. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, let's do index.js. And let's install Express. So let's do npm express and then Puppeteer as well. By the way, if you just want to see the deployment, I'll most likely have some timestamps so you can go straight to the deployment. And also I'll show you both GitHub and Heroku CLI methods. But it's best to see the whole video just in case you miss something, because most likely the Puppeteer script you are using currently misses some critical settings for it to work with Heroku. Okay, so first of all, what I'll do is create an Express server. So for that, let's go on npm and get a template, or yeah, we can use that. Thank you very much. Yeah, by the way, shout out to grepper, as every time you search something, it gives you snippets of code. And like that, I can copy paste without going on the actual page or searching for the answer. So yeah, thank you very much. Now here is where we will use our Puppeteer. So again, let's go Puppeteer npm, get an example. Thank you very much. And there we go. Now instead, we'll do this. Thank you. Let's import Puppeteer on the start. There we go. And then on example.com, instead of taking a screenshot, I would like to get some elements, some text elements. So let's do inspect. Let's get the selector. There we go. $evaluate. Then let's do h1 because it is already h1. And then let's get the text content, not inner text. There we go. And let's say this, or basically text is equal to that. And then on our response, let's do res.send text. There we go. Okay, so the settings we need to pass is right here on the .launch. So first of all, we have to pass some arguments and we have to pass no sandbox. So we are not running in sandbox, and we also disable the set UID sandbox. Perfect. Now, the next thing you want to do is create a proc file. Proc file. And then here, we will specify how to run the script. So web equals to node index.js. And yeah, that's it. Now let's go ahead and go in Heroku. Let's create a new app. Let's name our app, let's say Puppeteer, and then like random numbers. Okay, lowercase. There we go, create an app. Okay, so let's download now Heroku CLI. So to download it, click this link and follow the installation process. For Windows, there is another method. I'm using Mac, so you can copy paste this method in terminal. So this command in terminal, and this will download Heroku. Now I have already downloaded it, so I'll not run it. By the way, there's a warning here currently, so it says the Windows installers display a warning titled Windows protected your PC to some users. So to run this installation, when this warning shows, click more info and then verify the publisher as salesforce.com and then run anyway. And yeah, just pointing that out, just saw it as well. Okay, so let's go back, and here you just follow every step. Let's go here. Let's do Heroku login. Now press any key to open the browser. Then I'll click login, and because I'm already logged in on my browser, I don't have to actually type my email and password, but in case you are not logged in, you will type it. Then again, let's follow the other commands. So cd to my projects, well, you don't have to do that because in the terminal we are already in our project, but in case you are not, then make sure to go to your project. With Mac, it's really simple. Just go in your folder, go outside your folder, right click, and then click services, and then new terminal tablet folder or the new terminal folder, and this will open the terminal for that folder. Then again, we follow the steps. So git init. There we go. So we just initiated a Git repository. Then we will basically copy this command again, so we can remote to the Heroku Git, and then just copy paste these commands. Now I just want to point something out. Whenever you make a change on your code, well, to be able to see the changes live, you have to redeploy the changes. So how you do that is, like the first time, you just copy paste those three commands: git add dot, git commit, and then git push. And this will redeploy the changes. And yeah, that's it. So let's do that. So let's copy paste. Again, copy paste. Now, by the way, here you can specify what changes you made and keep it simple. So we will say initial deployment in this case, or you can leave it empty, like it doesn't really matter because this is not GitHub, so you don't really utilize the commit messages, but it's good to have them. So yeah, let's do that. There we go. Okay, so I forgot to do something. So we have to make a file.ignore and specify here node modules, because we don't want to deploy node modules. Neither we want to deploy the package-log.json. So make sure you do that. What we will do is go to Finder. Let's do shift command dot. There we go. One more time. There we go. And let's remove git because we accidentally committed the node modules. And then let's do git add dot again. Now, actually, there is a better method to do it. Like you can run a command to revert that commit, but because most of you are probably beginners, I don't want to go into that. So let's do it again. Actually, first do git init. Basically, we will run all the commands again besides Heroku login. And actually, it doesn't really matter if you do it this way, or if you have made multiple changes and then you remove the Git and reinitiate it, it doesn't really matter. So let's do it again. Because again, you are not using GitHub. So yeah, that's it. And there we go. So now it will start deploying the app after it deployed to Heroku Git. And this will take a minute to few minutes. Depends on how big your app is. And also, by the way, Heroku has a limitation to 500 megabytes. So yeah, have that in mind. And my simple app already uses 170 megabytes. Now, one thing I want to mention is that there is a Puppeteer called Puppeteer Core, which is a lot lighter. But again, this is just an example. But have that in mind. So if your app is using more than 500 megabytes and you are having an error, what you can do is instead of Puppeteer, use Puppeteer Core and it will probably solve your issue. If not, leave a comment down below or join our GitHub server, which I'll link down in the description, and we can help you solve that problem. Okay, so let's continue. So as you saw, there is it. So what I'll do now is copy the URL, paste it, and now, okay, what? Actually, there's a few things we have to do. So first of all, let's go on resources. Let's go on edit right here. Actually, okay. Okay, so never mind, we don't have to do anything here because it's already registered. So we don't have to do that. But if you are using a proc file with a different naming than web, then it will show it here. So make sure you click edit and then turn this on and click confirm. Just make sure you do that. And also another thing I forgot to do, download a Heroku build pack which supports Puppeteer. So to do that, let's use this command, Heroku build packs clear. And then this command which downloads the Puppeteer Heroku build pack, which I will leave those commands down in the description so you can just copy paste them. And then download the Heroku build pack for Node.js. Okay, so as you see, it says git push Heroku main to create a new release. So in order for those build packs to take an effect, we have to push again. Okay, not main, master. By the way, right here I was checking Stack Overflow, and as you see, one of the authors right here that gave an answer has a real cool example right here. So as you see, it does app.get and then it creates a page, an empty page for a value, and then it has a try catch. And that's really good because sometimes Puppeteer might fail to create a page. So it's good to catch and then send a 500 status error and then close the page in case that happens. So you can use this example as well, just have that in mind. But I'm trying to keep it simple, so that's why I didn't go into that. Okay, so let's refresh our page. Still nothing. Okay, interesting. So let's copy paste this command and see what we get. Okay, so we have to go back and we have to make this function asynchronous in order to be able to await. Here, we have to accept as the port that Heroku will give us. So it might be not 3000, it might be something else. So we'll do process.env.port. And yeah, let's redeploy again. So we'll do git add. And let's do git commit dynamic port. And then git push. Heroku master. Okay, so let's go back, refresh the page. And then now, there we go. So we got example domain. Now, For GitHub, it's really easy. As long as you have your Git connected, basically all you have to do now is deploy your code on GitHub. And yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So let's go on github.com. Let's create a new repository. Let's make it public. Let's name it Puppeteer Heroku. And let's create the new repository. Then, because we previously used Heroku Git, we have to remove the .git from Heroku Git. And then we will basically copy most of the commands, not all of them. So git init, git out the dot, git commit first commit, git remote add, basically connect our git, local git with the GitHub git, and then push on master, not main. Let's do master. And there we go. So I did git push -u origin master, and now if you go back on here, back on GitHub, there you go. This is it. Now what we will do is go back on Heroku. And by the way, if you just get immediately to GitHub, then you probably missed some things I fixed while I used Heroku CLI. So first thing I did is added the .git ignore. And I probably also created the proc file. Then I added the process.env.port right here. Then I also made the function asynchronous. And I think that's it. And also, which I'll show you again, is I added a build pack. But either way, I'll create a new app now. So let's go here, new, create a new app. This time we'll do Puppeteer, GitHub, method, and then a random number. And let's do create an app. Now this time we will use GitHub. But before we do that, can we go on settings? There we go, add build pack. And now this time, instead of using the terminal, I'll copy paste the build packs URL immediately here. So let's go here, copy paste it, save changes. There we go. And also add build pack and then use Nodejs. Perfect. And that's it. So let's go back on deploy. And here we will connect to GitHub. If it's your first time, you will have to verify, but it's not my first time, so I don't have to do that. And then here, I'll type my repo, so it is Puppeteer. And you don't have to type the whole thing. And there we go, connect. And that's it. Now what you can do here, if you are using GitHub, is you can enable automatic deploys. So every time you push a change in GitHub, it will automatically deploy the changes. And also you can choose which branch to deploy. So we will do master. And if it's your first time, you have to deploy it automatically. So let's go ahead and do that. And it will start deploying. Now another thing I said while using Heroku CLI is that you can use Puppeteer-core. And this will make basically the Puppeteer lighter, because if we go on settings, the slug size here, it can be maximum of 500 megabytes. And by default, just my simple application is about 170 megabytes. So yeah, just have that in mind. And I think that's it. So if we go open up, not yet. Okay, it's building currently. So if you accidentally leave, what you can do is go on overview, and as you'll see, it says build in progress. So you can see right here if your application is currently building, and click view build. But as you see, build succeeded. So let's refresh the URL. And if we wait for a couple of seconds, there we go, example domain. So that's it. Now, if you're interested in doing that with Selenium or with AWS Lambda for both Selenium and Puppeteer, let me know down in the comments, but either way, I'll do a video soon. But if you leave a comment, I'll probably do it sooner. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I'll really appreciate if you hit the like button and subscribe. And see you in the next video. Hello everyone, my name is Michael and welcome back to another episode in this Puppeteer tutorial series. In this episode, we will show how we can deploy our Puppeteer script in Vercel for free. So yeah, let's get it started. By the way, I'll be showing both GitHub and Vercel CLI method. So first we will set up the script, and then you will be able to click the timestamps below to select your method. So yeah, let's get started. So in my example, I'm using Express, so I'm basically creating a server, and then I create an API endpoint, which we can call in order to run our script. But there is a few things I want to point out. So first of all, we initialize Chrome and Puppeteer, so just those two values. And then we say if process.env.aws_lambda_function_version. So let me explain what that is. So before I do that, Vercel is running in AWS Lambda. Basically, Vercel is using AWS Lambda servers to run your applications. So we are able to get AWS Lambda environment variables, and basically we do that to check if we are in production or not. So here is what we are saying. So if we are in production, we will use Chrome AWS Lambda and then also Puppeteer core. Otherwise, we will use plain Puppeteer. Why we are doing that? Well, because locally, like by default, you are using Puppeteer. But in production, because it's running on Lambda functions, first of all, we have a limitation on the size. And as I remember, it is 50 megabytes. And Puppeteer takes way more than that. It takes about 350 megabytes. So there is no way we can use Puppeteer. And that's because Puppeteer comes with a version of Chrome built in to Node modules, so that takes a lot of space. But Puppeteer core is basically the lightweight version of Puppeteer, which I will explain a bit. So here is what we are doing now. We are creating an endpoint, and then we say again, if we are in production, we will use some custom settings. So first of all, we will use the args that we get from Chrome AWS Lambda, the arguments basically. And basically the most important thing is right here, await chrome.executable path. So basically we use that to fetch the Chrome that AWS Lambda has built in. So we are not installing Chrome, but basically AWS Lambda comes by default with a version of it. Another thing I want to point out is if we go on package.json, as you'll see here, I'm currently using Chrome AWS Lambda version 6, same for the Puppeteer core, because the newer versions are not currently working. And also, if you see right here, I have installed Puppeteer, but in my developer dependencies. And we do that so Vercel doesn't download Puppeteer, which it will do if we have it on dependencies. Another thing I want to mention is that we are using Node version 14. And then finally, we have the Vercel.json. This is what allows us to run Node. So here what we are saying is Basically, we are specifying the source, which is our file name, the index.js, basically the main file which we want to run. And also here we are saying Vercel use node, like use the node that Vercel provides. Basically, what you have to do is copy the Vercel.json and make sure you replace the name of your file right here. Also make sure right here on the .gitignore to put the .vercel and also node modules. That's useful for GitHub later. So yeah, let's go ahead and see how we can use it with Vercel CLI. You can search it on Google, so you can say Vercel CLI download, and what you have to do is run npm i-g vercel, and this will install Vercel CLI. So after you install it and locate your project folder, okay, so the first thing you have to do is run Vercel. By the way, I'll show you in a little bit as well. Every time you make a change on your code, you'll have to run this command. So Vercel does as prod, does as force, and it will update the code. Okay, so let's run Vercel for the first time. Setup and deploy, yes. Then you choose to which scope you want to deploy it to. Is it an existing project? No. What's your project name? I'll leave it as it is. Which directory? You will have to specify the directory here, but if in your terminal you are in your project folder, then just hit enter and you are setting up your project. By the way, here on scope, and that's basically what team you are on your Vercel. Just click enter if you only have one team. As you see, I have my team and then I have some other teams that I've been invited to. And there we go. So what we will do now is copy this URL, paste it here, and then go to /API endpoint. And now after a few seconds, there we go, the script worked. So as you see here, what we are doing is we are sending the page title, and it is correct. We are visiting Google, so we get for the page title Google. So yeah, this is it on how you can deploy with Vercel. Okay, so let's go on the GitHub methods. So what we will do is go to GitHub, create a new repository. Let's say Puppeteer Vercel. By the way, I'll be doing a video for Selenium as well. So okay, next what we will do is run these commands, but with some modifications. So first of all, let's run git init to initialize a Git repository. Then we will run git add dot, and then git commit, first commit. Then we will do git, actually let's copy it, as it's pretty long. By the way, as you saw, I skipped the git branch because I didn't want to create a branch. I'll just push to master. But if you want, you can create a branch, whatever you like. Okay, so let's do that. Git push -u origin master. And there we go. Now the next thing we will do is go back to our Vercel. Then we will do add new. We will create a new project. Okay, so for some reason, at the time of recording, I had an issue where I couldn't connect my own account to Vercel because I had connected another account already, and for some reason it didn't let me add my account. Now what you want to go ahead and do is you will select your account and then search for your repository after you have already added your account, by the way. And then you will select import, and basically you will import your repository. But for some reason, because I couldn't connect my own account, I had to click import third-party Git repository. Okay, so what I'll go ahead and do is import third-party Git repository because for some reason it's not connecting my account. But yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And now whenever you want to make a change, what you have to do is run git add dot, then you'll run git commit as we did before, and then finally you'll run git push. So if I can find it, okay, basically git push origin master. So those three commands is what you run every time you want to update your code. And yeah, that's it. So if we go now in our application and then go to /API. So yeah, this is it for the video. By the way, I'll have again the code down in the description. So I suggest you copy paste it, or basically copy paste the changes that you have to do in your already created script. So if the video was helpful and you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of my other videos. And yeah, by the way, again, this is a series, so if you want to learn more about Puppeteer, you can click somewhere up right and you will be able to see the whole series. So yeah, see you in the next video. Hello everyone, my name is Michael, and in this tutorial we will see how we can deploy our Puppeteer script in AWS Lambda. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. So here is what we will be doing. Okay, so first of all, let's create a folder. Let's name it Lambda. Let's go on that folder and then let's create a package.json so we can create our Nodejs app. Now let's open that folder in Visual Studio Code. And let's create an index.js where we will put our code. Now what we will be doing, let's go back, is instead of Puppeteer, we will be using Puppeteer core. And we do that because if we scroll down here, as you see, it says Puppeteer core doesn't download Chromium when it is installed. And we need to do that because AWS Lambda already comes with our version of Chromium. And we need to use that instead. To do that, we will use Chrome AWS Lambda. Now, what this library does is, if we scroll down here, as you see here on the example, what it does is from that Chromium, we launch a Puppeteer browser. And as you see, Chrome AWS Lambda, this library, gives us the custom arguments that we need to pass. It gives us the default viewport we need to pass. And then the most important thing is it gives us the Chrome executable path. Basically, it fetches that path and it uses it here. And lastly, it uses headless to true, and that's basically it. And this is the script we will be using. By the way, we also have an example for Playwright. Now, let me know if you want me to do a series with Playwright and basically do everything we did with Puppeteer but for Playwright. I'll most likely do one there as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this code right here, and let's install Chrome AWS Lambda and Puppeteer core. So let's do PMI and then Puppeteer core as well. That's a save. And yeah, that's basically it. I don't think we will change anything here. So let's see what the script does. Besides what we already said, it gets the URL which we can pass to our function, to our AWS Lambda function. And it either uses that URL or if we haven't passed any URL, it uses this URL. And what it does is it basically gets the page title. And if there is an error, we send that error back. Otherwise, we close the browser either way and then send the results back. And yeah, that's basically it. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go to AWS Lambda functions. And to find them, just search for Lambda. There we go. Click here and then go to functions. Okay, so let's create a new function and we will do that from scratch. So make sure you use this method. And let's do test. And let's create the function. Now AWS has a limit of 50 megabytes of zipped code or 250 megabytes of unzipped code. So basically our entire source code should be 50 megabytes when zipped, under 50. But we can also bypass that by using Amazon S3. Now before we do that, I suggest you go on your configuration, click edit, and then use minimum 512 megabytes of memory. And we do that because otherwise the script is executed really slowly and it also might crash. So I suggest you try with 512, and then if you have issues, you can increase your memory. Also, I suggest you increase your timeout to 1 minute. Now this is a simple application, so we most likely won't have any issues with the timeout, but make sure you check those out if your script is for some reason failing. Let's go ahead and zip our folder. So we will use compress. Now, if you are in Windows, then use WinRAR or something like that and zip your folder. And let's go ahead and upload it. So we will click upload from .zip file. We will click upload. Go and click Lambda and then open. Actually, nope, let's go back. I meant to do zip. There we go. Okay, and as you see, our folder is 0.1 megabytes larger than the limit. So as you see, with a very simple application, we still go above the limit. So to fix that issue, what you could do is use an older version, version 6 of Chrome AWS Lambda, and same for the Puppeteer core. But if you still want to use the latest version or an earlier version, then we will go ahead and use the AWS S3 method. But as you saw, this is the whole process you have to do. So just click upload, select your zip folder, and then click save, and you will just starting to upload. Okay, so let's click cancel. And let's go to S3. And let's create a bucket. And let's say test. And that's basically it. So let's create the bucket. That exists as well. Okay, I'll just do something random. And there we go, our bucket is created. So let's visit that. And let's click upload, add folder. Actually, no, add files. And then we will add our zip folder. And then click upload. Now this will take some time, most likely 2 to 3 minutes, depending on your internet connection and also how big your folder is. By the way, AWS Lambda is not free, but it is cheap. So as you see, depends on your memory that you put. This is the pricing for the memory you use and for the time you use it. You will be priced depending on your requests. And yeah, I think that's it. The zip folder is uploaded. So what we will do now is click on the zip folder and just copy paste and just copy the location of that folder. So copy S3 URI, go back, click Amazon S3 location, and then copy the URI here and click save. And as you see, successfully updated the function test. Now let's click test. We will create a new event and we will pass some data, because as you saw in our code, we can pass a URL. Let me show you again. Yeah, as you see, we can take from the event a URL. So let's pass a URL. Let's do Google. So let's do https www.google.com. And then let's click test. And we have an issue. So it says cannot find module index. Okay, so after some research, I think I found out what the issue was. So we should not zip the actual folder. So we should not zip Lambda, but we should select these items and zip them instead. And yeah, that's basically it. So let's go ahead and do that. Actually, I have already done that. So just select them, right click and then compress, or use WinRAR or whatever you have. And you will get something like this. And then let's go back on AWS S3 and upload that instead. So let's delete the previous one. So click it, then delete. There we go. And then let's go back. And click upload, files, and then archive.zip. And there we go. So it is uploaded. So again, let's go ahead and copy the URI. Let's go back, upload from Amazon S3 location, copy paste, and then save. And it only takes a few seconds, and there we go. So let's go ahead and test again, and click test. Failed again. Okay, so right now we are not getting the same issue, but we are getting an issue. Okay. Okay, so I did a research again, and we have to use Nodejs version 14 because that's the version that supports Chrome AWS Lambda. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's change the version to Node.js 14. And then finally, let's rerun our test. And there we go. So we have execution result succeeded. And now you see we get Google, which is correct. And this is how we can upload our script in AWS Lambda. So yeah, with that said, make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed this video and if it was helpful. And also subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos, because I do a lot of videos around Puppeteer and generally about scrapping or web related videos. You will most likely need to see those videos as well. So yeah, with that said, see you in the next video. Bye bye. By the way, the code will be down in the description, so make sure you check it out. Hello everyone, so in today's video I wanted to share some tips and tricks with you which you can apply today, and it will help you improve a lot your web scraping skills. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so tip number one. So let's say you are trying to visit what to watch page in IMDb and you want to scrap those movies, and for each movie get the movie details. Now what you will normally do is, let's say you are using Puppeteer or Selenium, you will visit this page, you will fetch the element that has all the movies, and then you would map the children of that element, and for each children you will get the movie details by HTML. But what if I told you there is a better way? Now, this does not apply in every case, but I'll make sure I check those methods out first and then try the normal method, let's say. Okay, so what you should do is go to the network tab. Okay, so normally what websites do is fetch those movies from an endpoint and not display them immediately here. So what we will do now is open inspect element, go to the network tab, and what we will try to find is an endpoint that fetches those movies. Again, not every website does like this. Some websites are using server-side rendering, so there will be no endpoint visible here. So to find the endpoint, what I'll usually do is get one of those movies, maybe get the title of that movie, and put it here. And then I'll search. Actually, if you are visiting network tab for the first time, you have to refresh so you get the new requests. There we go. And then let's search for a movie. And as you see, in our example, we have an available endpoint. So what I'll do is I'll see what the endpoint looks like. And if we go on the edges, edges represent the movies. If you go on each children element of those edges, as you see, I can get the title. I can also get the rating right here. And you can find all those elements, like the primary image, for example. And this is a better way of fetching them. So you'll go on headers, copy the endpoint, and then instead of using Selenium or Puppeteer, you could use Axios or request. And this is a faster method of doing that. And also, yeah, actually it's just faster and easier to do. For tip number 2, sometimes those endpoints are not available for the public. So even if I try to use Axios, it will block access. Why? Because it uses CORS and it does not allow any other domain but itself, so imdb.com, to access the endpoint. What you could do is that you could try to listen to those requests by using Puppeteer or Selenium, and you could fetch that JSON response. So basically you listen to that endpoint. I have made a video on that. You can click up here and I'll display in order Puppeteer and Selenium videos. Now tip number 2 is to know how to bypass security. Now some sites will detect that you're a bot. So when you're trying to sign in by using Selenium or Axios or anything like that, it will block you from accessing that website because it knows you are a bot. So again, I'll redirect you to my videos, which I'll link here. And I have made videos on both Puppeteer and Selenium on how to bypass that security. Now it doesn't work every time, but it works most of the times, the tips I show you there. So tip number 3 is to how to easily locate a selector of any element on a website that you want to scrub. So how to easily locate an element, and either with Google Chrome and other browsers like Firefox or Edge use that as well. You can click on the top left button right here, hover over the element that you want to scrub. Let's say we want to scrub this title, and there it is. You can easily find that element within the HTML of the page. Now, how do we easily get the selector? Well, we can right click, copy, and then copy the selector. Or you could also copy the XPath, full XPath, and any other selector that you find useful. XPath is sometimes useful when you have the same selector for multiple elements of the website. Now, similar to tip number 1 is that sometimes websites are having the JSON data that you might want to scrub in those script tags right here. So what you could do is use an HTML parser, get the script tag, remove those script tags, and get the content inside that script tag, and basically parse that JSON. Again, that's a useful way of saving time, so there's no need of using Selenium or Puppeteer, which is sometimes less efficient. Okay, so the next tip is you plan before you scrap. So like any project, we want to have a plan of what we will be doing. And like I suggested in my previous tips, there is a lot of ways you can make your script more efficient. So make sure you plan, and your plan could look like this. So first of all, what website do I want to scrap? So for example, Amazon.com. Next, what do I want to scrap? So I would like to scrap the electronic products. The next thing I'll think of is which page can I access those products, and then how can I access them? And I'll try to look of the most efficient way of accessing those products. And again, there's a lot of planning you could put on this. And yeah, like you don't have to make a huge plan or anything. It can take you 1 to 2 minutes to think of things like that, and maybe 2 minutes to research those things. But yeah, like don't go ahead and just start scrapping and making code before you just have a small plan in your mind. Now learn page structures. So when you want to maybe scrap those products right here, use the inspect element and see how those are structured. So what I'll go ahead and do is again use this tool right here. So the structure of this website, for example, is we have this element right here. So I'll tell my scrubber to get this element. Then as you see, the structure is within this element, we have each product. So I'll make my scrapper go through each product. And again, this is part of planning. So I guess this is part 2 of planning. Now, for example, this structure has many elements which you have to get through to get the title or the image. As you see right here, and there is the image, for example. There we go. And yeah, again, try to learn the page structure first before you go ahead and scrap it. Now, the most important tip is that make sure you read the terms of service, or I think even if you go on the robots.txt of the website, you could see if they allow you to scrap their pages, who they allow access to, and which pages they allow access to scrap and which not. And as you see, for example, this page is not allowed to be scraped, but for example, the wish list of the iPad is allowed to be scraped. Now I think robots.txt is mostly referred to search engine crawlers, but I guess make sure you check those, check the terms of service of the website, and they might mention somewhere that they are not allowing you to scrap their websites. And yeah, I think that's it for today's tips and tricks. Hope you learned something new and it helps you improve your skills. If you do so, hit the like button, I'll appreciate it a lot, and helps your YouTube algorithm to promote these videos to other developers so they can also learn these tips and tricks. And yeah, make sure you subscribe because I'll do many such videos in the future as well. And hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of them. So yeah, with that said, see you in the next video.